as we increasingly depend on connected technologies, that dependence has grown faster than our ability to secure it. And now that we're putting software into our cars, our medical devices, our hospitals, our high-speed rail, our critical infrastructure, the consequences of failure could now include public safety, human life, crisis of confidence in the public in large parts of our GDP and economy, and even constitute national security issues. When Mark Andreessen said software is eating the world, what he really meant is every company, regardless of what you do, is becoming a software company. And a lot of these 100-year institutions woke up one day and said, wow, we don't know what software is, but that's our last mile of strategic differentiation. So while they may have an incredible pedigree in physical safety or in safety engineering, there's an incredibly vast and misunderstood blossoming field of cybersecurity where we don't have 100 years of proof and science and rigor. So when he said software is eating the world, he saw it as an opportunity to change your differentiation. In fact, John Deere does not consider themselves a tractor company. They're a software delivery platform. GE is calling themselves the industrial internet middleware. Different companies have realized that the only way to survive and evolve is to realize and own the software aspects of their business, and they're inheriting domains they lack expertise in. As a cybersecurity guy, I can't hear it the same way. When he says software is eating the world, I say, no, it's infecting the world. We're putting software onto everything, and if you add software to something, you make it hackable. And if you connect it to something, you make it exposed. So the Internet of Things is the Internet of hackable, exposed things. And we don't know how to secure anything. I Am The Cavalry put out on its very first birthday, our first major deliverable. We published a 5-star automotive cyber safety framework, not meant to be a rating system, but really meant to be a multi-stakeholder way to dampen and converge on a common lexicon and to do some terraforming, right? If we don't have breathable, compatible oxygen, how do we start to lay the primitives that could structure and contain this? So instead of saying, your cars are insecure, and having the people say, no, no, we have a security program, at that completely coarse level, could we contain things into 5 basic areas of readiness? And the basic idea was, look, the automotive industry has been making cars safer for over 100 years. You're masters of your domain in the physical world. In cybersecurity, we're masters of our domain. And now that our domains have collided, we could be safer sooner if we work together. If you're a car company and you want to be this tall to ride the Internet of Cars, since all systems fail, tell us how you avoid failure, take help avoiding failure without suing the helper, capture, study, and learn from failure, have a prompt and agile response to failure, and contain and isolate failure. We don't have building codes for building code. And we don't want to, right? We love the permissionless innovation that we've brought to software. But if you think about it, every industry that has the potential to affect public safety and human life, we expect, and the public has an expectation, that regulators in the public sector will provide for the public good and for the public safety. Anything that can hurt us eventually gets some form of accountability. And with no software liability and a reluctance to regulate software and IoT for 30 years, we are now to the point where that overdependence is going to affect public safety, human life, and we will end up with something. You can't open a restaurant, a commercial restaurant, if you can't provide minimum hygiene standards. You can't take a home-built car on the road unless you can demonstrate it's roadworthy for some minimum level of suitability for a shared highway. And similar, you can't take an airplane into the air that you built yourself if it can't pass safety checks. So these technologies and these industries with the potential to affect public safety eventually and appropriately get some level of scrutiny. And as a security guy and from the private sector and from the software community for my entire career, I'm uncomfortable with those truths. And yet they remain true, increasingly so. We've added the connectivity. We haven't met that with commensurate care, not yet. So our adoption is ahead of our resilience, or our trust has outpaced our trustworthiness. And we're hoping, when we're in a foot race, we're hoping that we can get our act together and get those older, more vulnerable, but over-connected vehicles off the road before we see a rise in attack density or a crisis of confidence. It's the confidence, and we must maintain the confidence of the public. We are over-connected. We are over-dependent on these undependable things. We need the courage and the aggressive posture to go fix it before we lose that confidence.